And let's talk about Triangle of Sadness. So, I don't know if any of you even heard of this film. It sort of kind of made a splash for everyone because it landed in the Oscar category, right? It just out of the blue for a lot of folks. It was not on my radar screen. But when you have a best picture, best director film like this, sort of like just jump in the middle of things, I felt like, well, I need to give it a go, right? Then I heard someone that I like, I'm not going to name the names, who actually had a lot of positive things to say about the film. And what is weird to me is where we are in the comedy genre, the comedy label of things. So, all right, lots of spoilers. I'm not going to hold back on any of this. I don't understand where we're at with comedy in 2023. That this is, people will try to call this like dark comedy, whereas it's more like satirical. Like it's not, it's almost like over the top elements, similar to like a Monty Python, and a mockery of like classism is really pretty much the essence of the film. Like the two main characters that we are introduced in the beginning, we literally spend like 20 minutes. Like it's incredible how much time is spent on certain things in this film, which I think this is one of the biggest problems with films right now. Is so many of them are just way too long, and 20 minutes to get to know these two characters. They're basically like, the dude's a model and she's a model, and the opening sequence is him running around shirtless with a bunch of other models, and they're kind of like auditioning with catwalk nonsense and jokes about, it's all about their brows, this eyebrow. This is your triangle of sadness, right? So you can look, kind of like this Zoolander gag a little bit, but not funny. I don't get it. And she's very successful in her modeling to the point where now she's like a social media celebrity, right? And they get free stuff. They're together. It's almost like a power couple, not together. Like either one of them think that it's like going to go somewhere long term. They're both together. He is a total like soy boy beta type guy, and they end up in this fight over dinner because she wants to go there, but it's a very expensive restaurant. She purposely doesn't pick up the check. They bicker about money. And the brilliance of this film and why it's getting Oscar uh, acknowledgement is because it is done well, right? There is a lot of metaphor, there's a lot of innuendo, right? So it's like he's on the defensive, so he's filmed with his back against the wall. She's open, it's all open behind her, and she's on her phone because she doesn't really care. She's free to do what she wants to do. These are the kind of things that are there and done on purpose. 20 minutes though, like we have to spend 20 minutes before we get to quote the yacht. And they basically, because she is this social media person, she gets to be on this yacht owned by a rich guy full of a bunch of rich people, and we get introduced to a whole bunch of wealthy people and all sorts of crazy things. Like I will say that some of the elements on the boat was probably the best. Well, it is by far the best part of the film for me. I love the fact that this female model, Yaya, she's taking like pictures of herself like she's going to eat pasta, but she never actually eats it because she is watching her weight. She would never eat that kind of food, but she's trying to pretend that she would and still be flawless, right? There's all of this gender role conversation at times. We meet like tech millionaire with like his wife has had a stroke, so she can't really speak right. Then you have like the uber wealthy guys, a husband and wife couple who have made their living off like making grenades. Like just all of it is about just horrible humans, uber wealthy. Like the film is a lot about commentary at their expense. That's where the common comedy comes from. It's the gags or the extreme elements of how something is portrayed, right? I also don't get the Woody Harrelson marketing. Like they try to play this up as though he's remotely relevant to this film. He basically plays like the drunk captain who doesn't want to come out. And then when he does come out, it's about, dinner with the captain. And at this point in the film, this is when it makes a dark turn, is because the film is headed, the ship is headed into like a storm. The storm, the boat's all topsy turvy, right? And of course, there's scenes that set up this culmination of basically like chaos breaking out on the ship, because on this boat there's a scene where because they're so wealthy and powerful that no matter what they do, no matter how absurd it is, the crew is supposed to go along with it, right? So there's a little old lady who keeps talking about how dirty the sails are, but they're on this like extremely expensive yacht. There are no sails, right? But they're all supposed to pretend that there are sails, right? There's a scene where an old lady is like telling that she wants to see all of the crew go down a water slide into the ocean. We should all get to go for a swim. And this leads into the fact that the entire kitchen staff has to stop working and go do this extreme stupid behavior, and allowing all of the food to go bad, but still serve it, which is probably the part that isn't really explained. Like, why would they still serve the food? But that's what happens. So of course, everyone is getting sick. So everyone's getting sick. The boat is rocking like crazy. Glasses are sliding around. Drunk Woody Harrelson, who's at least not as drunk, he won't even eat the food these people are getting. Like, they're getting like octopus and stuff. And he's like, give me a cheeseburger and fries. Like, everyone starts getting sick. The vomiting leads to more vomiting. It's so insane. And then we have scenes where then the captain and this Russian, wealthy guy is discussing capitalism as socialism on like reverse. So like Woody Harrelson is like pro Marxist and the Russian is pro capitalist. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's this whole sequence that's wasted about the ship going down because they're just drunk and they have access to the intercom. And then the grenade makers are killed by a grenade, but it's not their grenade. It's actually because the boat is, I guess, attacked by pirates. You have to really be paying attention to pick up some of these breadcrumbs, because if you go to the bathroom during the wrong time, you're going to miss why the boat even went down. It just happens so quickly. And basically, then the rest of the movie takes place on an island. And this is where you get into like almost like Lord of the Flies. Like, imagine like the uber wealthy loser people who can't survive without staff are going to behave if they're abandoned on island. It's like Survivor with, all of the Thurston Howells. Like, it's stupid, right? So you have the models, you have wealthy people, but then you also get like just some random guy who could be a pirate. And you have this Asian lady who basically cleans the floors. So they have these sequences, of course, with the vomiting of these Asian workers who are, basically third-class citizens. Forget about second class. They're the slaves on the boat. They're scrubbing the floors. Well, she's one of the ones that survives. She ends up in like a lifeboat, actually. Pretty nice gigs, considering you're on an island. And she is the highlight of the film as far as performances and interesting elements, right? Because there's one of the other crew survived. Her name is Paula, and she's kind of like the one in charge on the boat, and she tries to do this power play where like she's just a toilet manager, and it's like, well, not right here. She's not, because here she knows exactly what she's doing, and her name is Abigail. She turns on the men because the men let the fire go out because they don't care. They lie about eating pretzels. They don't know what kind of food they have. She's the only one that knows how to survive. And she immediately turns everything around on them for power, right? So she's going to allocate food because she goes and catches food. She's going to allocate resources and things like that. And it's all about this sort of back and forth, classism, class warfare, survival. Yeah, you might be critical of the people that have power, but would you if the roles were reversed? Those kinds of things, right? Then the very end of the film, this last sequence of the films, the film takes yet another turn where some dude, random Jamaican guy, just walks up to that lady who can't speak right. She's the stroke lady, and he's selling stuff, but she can't communicate right. So you're like, what the hell's going on? Where are these people? Well, Yaya and Abigail, because Abigail basically turned the boy toy into like a sex toy. Like, he wanted food, he wanted a place to sleep, he wanted things so bad he was okay with like selling his soul out and sleeping with Abigail and trying to string Yaya along. Anyway, Abigail and Yaya go off and they find an elevator because basically they're on like a luxury resort island. They're not actually lost at sea like Gilligan's Island. They've just been on the wrong side of that island that's already like a resort. And you have this sort of like big moment where you see something that might happen and then not happen. So almost 2.5 hours long. Really? Comedy? Really? It's like it's all a bunch of absurdity of society. This uber wealthy class, mockery and shenanigans of how people will roll over for them because they're powerful and wealthy. It's a lot of that type of stuff about Hollywood, I guess, pointing fingers back at themselves as much as other people, because they're the ones that behave like this the most. Like these are the people that feel like they're entitled to go to your restaurant for free. These are the people that are expecting for you to stop everything and follow them on social media and go see their crappy films and all of that. So I'm not quite sure I understand the love of this film. It is sort of like this artsy, well-crafted, satirical attack on things. But I cannot imagine. I really don't understand why this has best Oscar picture, best Oscar director. I don't think the director did anything that special. I thought it was okay. I think that there's elements of the film that are done well, but it's not a film that I want to sit through again anytime soon. I just not doing it. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys think Triangle of Sadness is great, and you can explain that to me in the comments. So please do. Not on my list. Not rewatching. Yeah, definitely not a comedy. More like satirical, dark comedy at best. But again, you're laughing at situations and the absurdity of situations and at people's expense, not actually, like, to me, well-crafted comedy, so to speak. So.
Yeah. Right?